Well, I got a new motorcycle. I know I had talked about it last year on some of my rides when I was riding my e-bike. I had an old BMW. It was really big, it was really heavy, it was really old, and I spent more time working on it than I did riding it. And it was just getting to the point where when I opened up the garage door, I would jump on my e-bike instead of on the motorcycle. Nothing wrong with that. I still have my e-bike. I still ride it back and forth to work. I'm not getting rid of it. This is just something else that I'm adding to the fleet. So, this is a brand new bike. It's a 2023 Triumph Bonneville T120. It's a standard motorcycle. So, why did I buy this bike over all the other bikes that are out there? Now, I did a lot of homework and I did a lot of research, and I looked at just about every bike that was out there. And my reasons for going with this one was it was kind of limited on options as far as what was available for bikes. And getting a motorcycle the last couple of years has been like buying cars. There isn't any. You go to the dealerships and the showroom floors are empty, or they got small bikes but they don't have any big bikes. So originally I was talking about this and I was saying that I wanted to get a big scooter, and most of the manufacturers that made big scooters they quit selling them in this country. Suzuki Bergman had the 650 Bergman, that was here. They quit selling them here. Yamaha used to have the X-Max. They quit selling that here. No, it was the T-Max, I'm sorry. And it was like a 550cc, something like that. They quit selling that here years ago. Honda, same thing. They had their big, the Silver Wing. They quit selling that, I think, in 2012. So, as far as getting a big scooter, there was not a lot to choose from. Kimco has one. It's a 550, and it was supposed to come to this country. There was supposed to be a new model. It was supposed to come to this country, and it was going to have cruise control and an adjustable windshield and heated grips and all that, and all the stuff that I would want on a motorcycle. The thing that's cool about scooters is under the seat there's a huge storage area, so you don't really even need side bags like I put on this bike, and that was all very appealing. And then the front fairing and everything on it was all very appealing. But guess what? That bike never came to this country. It was supposed to. They were saying it was supposed to come here early 2023. It never did. So I started looking at my options on motorcycles. I've been on motorcycles since I was a kid. Been riding motorcycles longer than I've been driving a car. I had a street bike before I ever had a car. So I've had a lot of bikes. I've had dual purpose bikes. I've had standard bikes. I had a Goldwing. I had a big full dress Goldwing, a GL 1800. I had, the big BMW. And what some of the big bikes, the big touring bikes taught me was that I didn't really want that. I didn't want that big, giant, heavy bike anymore. I have to think about how much touring do I really do. Not that much. I go for weekend rides, I might go on a trip, once or twice a year. I can do it on this bike. I can throw another bag over the top of this to hold, clothes for a few days, and I can tour on this. Eventually, I'm going to put a windshield on it, and that, the one that I'm putting on is actually going to be a quick release, so I can take it off if I want to, leave it off just right around town, or I could put it on if I do some touring. So, why did I choose this bike over all the bikes that are out there? Well, I didn't want what everybody's into. The new thing now is adventure bikes. Everybody's buying adventure bikes. But when I go to the dealerships and I look at these things and I sit on them, first of all, you got to have a damn ladder to get on them because the seat height is so high on them. And then, the gas tank is up this high and it's full of fuel, and it makes them very, very top heavy. And then the other thing is am I ever really going to take it off-road? Probably not. And I would say that the majority of the people that buy those bikes, other than maybe a dirt road, they probably never see any off-road time with them anyway. So why would I spend, $20,000 for one of these bikes and up if it's not what I'm really looking for? So I started looking at some other motorcycles. I looked at the Kawasaki 900. I forget what the exact model number is on it, but it's a retro style bike. It's a modern classic. I looked at these bikes. I looked at the Triumphs, and Triumph's got a couple of different models with this engine. They got one that's more of a cruiser, and it's, you know, the foot forward controls, and I'm not really much for that. I didn't, you know, I've had cruisers in the past. That's not really my style. I don't really like that kind of riding position on a motorcycle. I like to sit more upright. You know, this is why this standard style of this motorcycle suits me. I didn't want look, all the electronics that are on these bikes today. You know, I don't need 12 levels of ABS. I don't need 12 levels of traction control. Does this have ABS? Yep. Check that box. That's all I need. Does it have riding modes? Yeah, it's got 2, rain and road. Okay, check that box. That's all I need. I don't need 12 levels of traction control. Those 2 settings is all I need. So I wanted to get back to the basics of motorcycling. I don't want a stereo on the bike. I don't want any of that. This has just enough technology to make it a pleasure to ride. And it is a pleasure to ride. I really do enjoy this bike. The other thing is I just didn't want all that weight that some of these bikes have. Now, some people think this bike is heavy. It's, I don't know, 520 pounds or something like that. And some people think it's heavy, but I got news for you. After coming off of that BMW that I had and the Goldwing that I had, this bike does not feel heavy. 500 pounds to me, I mean, this thing is very maneuverable. It's very flickable. It's easy to move around in and out of the garage or whatever. I don't find the weight to be an issue. Maybe it's because the mass of the engine is down low. Okay, so on the engine, let's talk about the engine. This is a Triumph Bonneville T120. It's a 1200cc parallel twin. It's liquid cooled. It has gobs and gobs of torque. This is a lump of a motor, and I mean it is, and I say that in a good way. I don't need high RPM. I don't need to, like a crotch rocket motorcycle. I don't need to go, you know, 10, 12,000 RPM with this bike. Its sweet spot is between 2,500 and 4,000 RPM. And to be honest with you, I've never really had to take it up much past 3,500 RPM. I'm still breaking it in. I'm still on my break-in miles. This thing pulls like a freight train. It pulls like a tractor. I mean, the torque in this thing is really, really cool. It just makes it very, very rideable, very enjoyable. If I want to get a thrill and crack that throttle, it'll give me the thrill that I'm looking for. So those are some of the reasons why I went with this bike versus all the bikes that are out there on the market. Now, I've had the bike, let's see, I bought it in December. And I wasn't really ready to buy it. I mean, I sold my BMW and I saved the money from that. And I had been saving money and adding to it, you know, and I didn't really want to buy a bike right away. I wanted to wait till spring, but I saw this color. And to me, it just reminded me of the Bonnevilles from the 60s and 70s. And it seems like every time I saw one of them, it was blue. And so this just kind of reminded me of the old Bonnevilles. And this is a modern classic. It's fuel injected. They got it right. Let's just put it that way. I think that they really got this bike right. It handles great. It handles like a dream. It's got a super powerful motor. I'm really, really happy with it. I have no regrets. Like I said, I bought it in December. I didn't pick it up until March because the weather here in Michigan was just terrible. In fact, it snowed the day I picked it up as I was loading it on the trailer. I didn't actually start riding it. I waited till the weather broke, and it took me, I don't know, I didn't get on it till like April. I rode it a couple times in April. I took it out on a real good ride the other day. I did 260 miles on it, and I got to tell you, man, I loved every minute of it. I'm getting 55 miles to the gallon with it. That to me, that's great. Really like the bike. Really happy with it. No regrets whatsoever. I don't. You know, I still look at other bikes just because I like bikes. I like all motorcycles. I don't care what they are. I like Harleys and this and that. I just didn't want to own one. I didn't want to My problem with a Harley, I wanted to buy a new bike. I didn't want to get a used bike again. I'm tired of working on bikes all the time. If I want to work on the bike, it's going to be because I'm going to put accessories on it or something else like that, or just do maintenance, change the oil and the air filter and, that kind of stuff. I don't want to be working on the bike all the time because it's broke down. These have a pretty good reputation for being reliable. And it's basic enough to where, if need be, I can work on it. Where was I going with this? So anyway, yeah, I didn't want a Harley. I don't have anything against them. I just think that, I didn't want to spend that kind of money on one. They wanted 20 plus, for a decent Harley, a fairly well-equipped Harley was, $25,000. Okay, so what did this bike cost me? It was just under 13 brand new. It was like 12.3 or something like that. And then I put some accessories on it. I put heated grips on it. I put the racks for the saddlebags for the pannier racks on here, and I put a center stand on it. And that was another thing that I looked at. And let's talk about that. Motorcycles today, for some reason, the manufacturers are not putting center stands on a motorcycle. The BMW I had didn't have a center stand. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's, I don't know. When I do maintenance on a bike, change oil and everything, you got to have the bike sitting level. You got to have a center stand, especially on this bike. It's chain drive. So I'm going to have to do chain maintenance at some point. And it's like I just said, I will not own a bike that doesn't have a center stand. Now, it didn't come with one. And they charged stupid money for it. It was like, I don't know what it cost. It was like $300. But I paid it. I don't care. I will never own a bike again that does not have a center stand. Okay, yeah, there's workarounds around that. If you're at home working in your garage, you can get a motorcycle lift or whatever when you're doing your maintenance. But how about when you're out on the road? What if you have a problem when you're out on the road? Yeah, it's really nice to have a center stand. So I ponied up, spent the money, and I put a center stand on this bike. It was amazing how many bikes I looked at that did not have a center stand. In fact, I looked at a Triumph model, and I kind of liked it. I can't remember what it was. I think maybe it was a Speed Twin, but it wasn't an option. There was no option to get a center stand for it. And I'm like, nope, you can't check that box. I'm not interested in it. So I ended up going with this bike here, and I absolutely love it. It's been, what a great bike. I can't wait to put more and more miles on it. The more I ride it, the more I love it. I have no regrets whatsoever. So let me get you off the tripod, and I'll bring you over here, and I'll show you some of the stuff on it that I put on. Okay, so like I said, it's got heated grips, and you got your little button right here that turns them on, and it's got two positions. And when I first started riding in April, it was cold, and I used it, and I tell you what, it's got to be really cold if you're going to use this on high, because these grips get really, really hot. Another thing that I absolutely had to have on a motorcycle, this little button right here. That's cruise control. It's super simple. You push the button once to turn it on, you get it up to the speed that you want, and you push it again to set your speed. It's so simple. You don't have another button to raise the speed and lower the speed. I don't really need that. I know how to use the throttle. I can get it up to the speed that I want, push the button, sets it at the speed that I want, and that's all I need. Now, if you hit the throttle, pull the clutch, hit any of the brakes, it shuts off. Then if you run it back up to speed, push that button again, and it sets you at your speed again. So I usually, I put my Lamicall cell phone holder on here. Because I use it for my GPS. One thing that I really like about this bike is the twin clocks, and this is really cool. When you turn the key on, I love the way the hands sweep. I think that's just so cool. I don't know why it tickles me so much, but I really love the way it sweeps when it does its little self-diagnostic thing. It has a gear position indicator, tells you what gear you're in right here. It tells you how many miles you got, and it's also got trip on here, and it tells you your fuel economy. And then on the other side, on the bottom, I don't know if you can see it, it says rain and road. Right now I got it set for road. Tells you how many miles you got until you need fuel again. This one tells me I can go 158 miles. I got a full tank of fuel in here. That's it. I don't need anything more than that. I got speed on this side, tack on this side. That's all I need. I don't need all kinds of electronics. I don't need all kinds of fancy color touch screens, all that kind of crap that's going to break on you and cost you a fortune if you can get it. No, this is basic. It's what I wanted. I wanted a basic machine. It's got look at the size of these brake discs in the front here. They're enormous. They're almost as big as the wheel. And they're Brembos. It's got twin Brembo, dual pot calipers, twin disc brakes in the front, plenty of stopping power, single disc in the rear. I put my I got my battery tender on here so I can keep the battery topped off, and it just makes the batteries last a little longer when you keep them plugged up to a tender. I put these saddlebags on here, and they're plenty big enough for daytime use, and I can take them off real easy. You'll pop the seat off and these bags will come right off. I got a rear rack that I'm going to be putting on here, but I had to do some welding on it to make it fit, so it's at the powder coaters right now. Once I get it back, I'll be putting that rack on. I'll be putting the front windshield on, and I got some engine crash bars that I'm going to put on it. But so yeah, this is my new bike. It doesn't take up much space in the garage at all, which I really like. Whereas the old BMW, man, that thing that thing was a boat, and it took up so much room in the garage. This thing doesn't take up hardly any room in the garage. I can park this on one side, I got my e-bike on the other side, and like I say, I still ride my e-bike back and forth to work, but I really do enjoy riding this bike. I like going out on the weekend and going for a motorcycle ride. It's in me, it's in my blood, it's part of my upbringing, and I'll never be without a bike. I guess when it gets to the point where when my legs won't hold me up anymore, then I'll end up being on a three-wheeler, I guess. But another thing that I really liked about this bike, when I was looking at them, and I went to the showroom and saw this bike, when I sit on it, look, my legs are bent, and I'm not real tall. I'm only 5'9", but when I come to a stop, I can touch the ground. I'm flat foot. My knees are still bent. The handlebars, they feel natural. Now they make a set of bar risers that will raise it up an inch and bring it back an inch, and I think I may get those just because I just if you see where my hands are, it could come back a little bit. But that's a minor thing. I mean, other than that, when I sit on this bike, I mean, I feel super comfortable on this bike. It doesn't feel like a behemoth. It doesn't feel like this big giant boat. I'm just so tired of that. Oh, another thing that I'll show you is pretty cool that I put on here. I've got this USB charger. So here's a USB plug, and then my phone plug is over here, so I can keep my phone fully charged while I'm riding. And it's got this really cool, it's a twin USB, and it's got an on-off switch. So if I turn it on, and I don't know if it's going to show you, no, it gives you the really typical camera flicker thing, but it tells you how many amps. So right now I'm at 12.9, and when she's running it's over 14. So that's a pretty cool thing for using your cell phone. So if I go on a long trip, I can use my cell phone for the GPS and don't have to worry about killing the battery on the phone. I can charge up accessories on the bike while I'm riding. And I guess there's a USB port under the seat somewhere, but I haven't even looked for it because I have this one mounted on the handlebar. So there's some other little doodads that I'm going to get for the bike. I'll dress it up. You put some farkles on it, as they call it. And another thing that's kind of cool that they did on this bike is the fuel injectors. They made them look like the old carburetors, and it says Triumph motorcycle since 1902. So Triumph went out of business for a while, like a lot of the manufacturers did, and then they got bought up. Still a British company, but this bike, is actually made in Taiwan, even though it's a British company. But I got to tell you, the build quality on the bike is really, really good. It's exceptional. The paint is really good. Just the fit and finish of everything is super high quality. It's very solid. It's very sturdy. For a standard motorcycle, or what they call a retro classic or a retro standard, man, I'm telling you, I really think Triumph got this right with the Bonneville. Like I say, they got a couple other models. They got one that they call, what is it? I think it's a Speed Twin. They got a couple different models of this. And you can also get it in all black. And I've seen those. They're okay. I'm not a huge fan of chrome. But for me, on the modern classic bike, I think it looks right. I don't know. I've seen the black bikes. It's like, I'm over it. It's been done. It's been done too much, in my opinion. Everything being all black. I mean, I've seen, all blacked out trucks and blacked out cars. Same thing on the bikes. I don't know. I kind of like these big chrome pea shooter exhausts and, the chrome mirrors and, that kind of stuff. It just suits me. So, yeah, when I saw this color, I ended up buying it in December, even though I wasn't really quite ready. And the dealer has not gotten another one in this color. I think they call it Aegean blue. And I've been back to the dealer a few times, picking up other stuff, and they haven't gotten another one in this color back in yet. So I think it's kind of rare. Might be a little bit hard to get a hold of. I don't know. I really like it. I'm super happy with it. So if you have any questions about it, like, subscribe. Ask me questions. I answer my questions. I love the comments. When people comment on stuff, I like having the conversation with folks. And man, like I say, might not be for everybody, but for me, at my stage in life, it's nice to kind of downsize a little bit. I didn't downsize on the motor. It's got plenty of power. The only thing that I downsized on was just on the size of the bike. It's a little smaller. It's a little more compact. It's much easier to ride. It is a super easy bike to ride. The clutch pull is so light. I mean, it has what they call a torque assist clutch, and it has a really, really light clutch pull. I mean, you can literally squeeze the clutch with one finger. I mean, it's super light. The transmission, buttery smooth. This has got to be one of the best shifting motorcycles I've ever owned. My Goldwing was really good. I think this one might even surpass that. This is really a smooth transmission. I put this little tank pad on here. It's just a little rubber pad, and that's just to prevent your zipper on your jacket from scratching the bike. But I keep thinking of things while I'm talking about this bike, and while I see it, little things that I didn't talk about. And I tell you, super happy with it. I think it was money well spent. I think I'm going to have this one for many, many years. I don't trade bikes, very often. I think I'm going to have this one for a long time. So anyway, that's my new bike. Those are the reasons why I bought it. I just wanted to get back to the basics of motorcycling. This does it for me. It checks all the boxes. I'm super happy with it, and that's all I got for today. So like I say, if you like my videos, like and subscribe. If you have questions or comments, feel free to add to it, good or bad. I like it all. So that's all I got for now. Maybe the next video, maybe it'll be me putting some accessories on it or something. So that's all I got for today.